Hey everybody, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're looking at a story that frankly sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It's a wild one, that's for
At
sure.
Google, going nuclear.
Well, not in like a, mushroom cloud kind of way.
Right, right.
But they are making a huge investment in the future of nuclear power.
Yeah, their deal with this company, Kairos Power, and these SMRs they're building, it's big news.
Huge. And Google's the first major tech company to make this kind of commitment, so really interesting to see how it plays out.
Did you get a chance to look over those articles I sent?
I did.
Mm.
I gotta say, some of the stuff in here about how much power these small modular reactors are supposed to generate is mind-blowing.
Right, it's not just some pilot project either. We're talking serious megawatts here, enough to run a city.
So let's break this down for our listeners. First off, SMRs, small modular reactors. What are they and how are they different from, your typical nuclear power plant? The ones we all think of with the giant cooling towers and such. Yeah, good place to start. So imagine, right, instead of one massive reactor core, you've got these smaller modular units, kind of like Legos, but for nuclear reactors.
Okay, I'm kind of getting it. So instead of one giant power source, it's more distributed.
Exactly, and that's what makes them so interesting. Theoretically, more efficient, way more flexible in how you deploy them, and a lot of folks argue that they're safer too because of the whole modular design.
That makes sense. Less can go wrong if everything isn't concentrated in one place, right?
Right, at least that's the thinking.
Okay, so we've got these newfangled reactors, but where does Google fit into all this?
So Google and Kairos Power, they inked this deal, right, where Google's going to buy a whopping 500 megawatts of power from Kairos's SMRs.
500 megawatts. To
Mhm.
put that in perspective for our listeners, that's enough to power, what, a small city?
Easy. Maybe even a medium-sized one, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
And that should give you a sense of just how energy-intensive our digital world is becoming.
Which is something that I don't think a lot of people realize. Like, I flip on a light switch, I charge my phone, I don't really think about where that power is coming from.
Right, it's easy to forget. But all our data, our searches, the videos we watch, all that stuff lives in these massive data centers full of servers. And those servers, they're energy hogs.
And Google, with their search engine, their cloud services, and of course their AI ambitions,
Yeah.
they're using a ton of power.
There are AI ambitions especially, training these giant AI models. That takes a crazy amount of energy. We're talking about processing power that was unthinkable just a few years ago.
So this isn't just Google being eco-friendly, although I'm sure they'll take the good PR. This is about keeping the lights on for their AI future.
Exactly. Google's playing the long game here, making sure they've got access to the power they're going to need as AI keeps growing.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
But forgive me if this is a dumb question, but are these SMRs, are they actually, ready to go?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right, because this whole thing feels very future forward.
It is. The timeline for all this is interesting. The goal is to have the first of these Kairos reactors up and running by 2030.
Okay.
With more coming online over the next few years after that. So we're looking at, early to mid-2030s before this deal really kicks in.
So Google's making a pretty big bet on a technology that's still in development. Are there any hurdles they might run into?
Oh, absolutely. For starters, getting these things approved is no walk in the park. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission, they've got to give the green light, and that process, it can take years. I mean, we're talking mountains of paperwork, safety reviews, the whole 9 yards.
So even if the tech's solid, red tape could slow things down.
Big time. And then there's the whole, well, let's be honest, nuclear power has an image problem.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. People hear nuclear and they think Chernobyl, Fukushima, things like that.
Exactly. So even though these SMRs are designed with safety in mind, even though they're, small, there's going to be a lot of public perception to overcome.
Not to mention, even if they are safer, there's still the issue of, yep, nuclear waste is the other big one. And even though these SMRs might generate less of it compared to traditional plants, it's still something that needs to be dealt with.
It's not like you can just throw it in the recycling bin.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So yeah, Google is definitely taking a risk here, but it's also a calculated risk, They're not just throwing money into a void. This order book framework you mentioned earlier, that's key.
Right, because it's not just about buying power, it's about
sending a signal. It's
Okay.
Google saying, hey, we believe in this technology, and putting their money where their mouth is.
which for a company like Google carries a lot of weight. Right.
Absolutely. They're not just a customer, they're a partner, an investor, almost.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a game changer for the whole SMR industry. Think about it. If this works out for Google, who else is going to jump on board?
Right. Amazon, Microsoft, all of a sudden we could be talking about a whole new energy landscape.
Exactly. And this isn't just some abstract, tech industry thing either. What we're talking about here, it has implications for all of us. Because at the end of the day, this is about energy, right? And we all need energy.
Think about it. If this pans out, if these SMRs really are the future of clean energy, it could change everything. It could affect everything from the cost of electricity to how we address climate change.
It's almost too much to wrap your head around, Like we're on the cusp of something big, but we don't know quite what it's going to look like yet.
And that's what makes it so exciting. It's not often you get to see this kind of technological shift unfold in real time.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap things up. We've covered a lot of ground today, but I hope our listeners come away with a sense of just how big this Google Kairos deal really is. It's not just about powering up some servers, it's about
The future of energy, the future of AI, maybe even the future of our planet.
big stuff. Well, on that note, we'll catch you all next time for another deep dive.
See you then.
Bye, everyone.